there is a mental condition out there. There has to be
Mm.
to make people go berserk when they hear the trigger word. Their actions hold no bounds once the constant noise in their head kicks in.
Mm.
And the trigger,
Yes,
the name
yes,
Donald Trump. Donald Trump, of course.
yes.
Even politicians don't seem to be able to control themselves when they hear the name, see the photo, or
Mm.
hear the speech in person.
Yes.
A fine example of this would be the leaders of the European Union nations that are intent on doing things contrary to what Donald Trump suggests or even points out.
Mm.
The most famous one from the Don is when he called out the NATO nations, naming them delinquent because they weren't chipping into the NATO cause.
Mm.
This is about 6 years ago.
Yes, I remember. I've seen the video. Yes.
He told them they needed to pay 3% of GDP of their economies to bring
Mm.
NATO back from the brink of
Mm.
becoming extinct. Since which, only one nation went above and beyond what Trump asked for, and the rest, including the UK, are suggesting they will do this in 2037,
Mm.
when for sure the economies will have changed. More recently, Trump suggested 5% of GDP. And so those that were grouching about 3% around 6 years ago are now very much belly aching about the five.
Yes.
Now, there is an ally to Donald Trump. They call him the Trump Whisperer. Right? He goes by the name of Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO. In a recent speech, he put the chuntering class in Europe in their places with a bit of frank honesty.
Mm.
He said, if anybody thinks here again that the EU or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't, we need each other. He said this at a meeting to address the European Parliament
Mm.
this past Monday gone.
Yeah.
He went on, if Europe wanted to defend itself alone, it would have to increase defence spending to 10% of GDP and build its own nuclear capabilities. In that scenario, you will lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedoms, which is the US nuclear umbrella.
Yes.
So, hey, he said, good
Mm.
luck with that.
Yes.
Rutte also said about Trump, I think he's right that this is an issue with the Arctic region. There is an issue of collective security because the sea lanes are opening up and because the Chinese and the Russians are more and more active, he said. Now, like I said, Rutte is an ally of Trump. If this alliance was before Trump gave his delinquency speech or after, it's not sure.
Mm.
But either way, home truths sometimes have to be said out loud.
Yeah.
So at least the populations of the European countries can know if their representatives in government are acting on their best interests or if the politicians are just thinking about self. So there you had it. Rutte, he gave them a good dressing down
Mm.
on Monday,
Yeah.
telling them that they need to think twice about their plans for the future. If they
Yeah.
think about going it
Mm.
alone,
Mm.
they're probably not going to be able to do it. So there you are.
Well,
Some truth hurts.
well, it just confirms what we've been saying, that whether we like it or not, we need the
Yeah,
US. The world needs the
yeah,
US.
yeah.
The tariffs proved that, if nothing else, up to yet. How dare the man put tariffs on us? He's destroyed our economies. Also, you're dependent on the US. Yeah. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's what we've been saying. We've had many leaders, non-military leaders, around um, the around Europe, shouting their mouths off. And it would appear, without even consulting the the um the knowledgeable people, i.e., the military in their own countries, what they're capable of. Um, Now, in Trump's last term in office, he did increase military spending in the
Yeah.
previous term. Um, Not because he particularly wanted to go to war, because I honestly believe that Donald Trump is the last thing he wants to do is go to war with anyone. It's not very good for building golf courses and hotels, if nothing else. Yeah. And I openly say that. Yeah, he's a man of business, not a man of a war. He doesn't, I don't believe he has any interest really in the armaments industry, only them supplying the US and other countries around the world as necessary. Um, And admittedly, I mean, I've worked with for companies not directly involved that do supply arms and all that. It's a very lucrative business for them. When you read their balance sheets,
So if
yeah,
there's a war on, of
yeah,
course.
well, yeah, it goes up. And I mean, yeah, I didn't buy any shares in one of them I worked for. If I did, yeah. On one hand, I don't like wars. On the other hand, it would, helping the balance sheet with regards to shares. Um, yeah, Trump comes in and the armament shares go down. It's quite funny, really. Um, or says something. Yeah. Um, yeah. Without the US, NATO is a nothing.
That's right.
Um, from my layman perspective about capabilities, military capabilities, and around Europe, and I think I've said before, to me, UK, France, and Poland are probably the most militarily capable and ready, in relatively speaking, countries to actually do anything. That's not decrying any Germans or Nordic countries or anything else. Their military are well trained. Yeah.
Well, just the coalition of the willing.
Mm.
Remember that one?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Germany, I think, officially have pulled out
Mm.
because their leader has said no more money, no more arms to Ukraine.
Yeah.
So,
Well.
whereas a
Mm.
couple of months ago it was we will go to the end of the road and help the Ukrainians. Now it's no more, no
Well.
more.
Yeah. I mean,
Afford it.
um, yeah. As I said before, there's lots of resources, not just from Europe, from other places as well, being poured into Ukraine,
Yep.
and the Russians are still wandering around the countryside there, as it were. I mean, yeah, yeah. The Western leaders say, "Oh, we've got back a few millimeters of land," and then the Russians get it back next week. It reminds me of World War
This
One.
this
Yeah,
this of course because it's winter time,
yeah,
and so as we've seen over the last 2 years,
mm,
when winter sets in,
yeah.
very little very little manoeuvres take place
Well,
because everybody's just hunking down,
yeah,
just just to keep their own turf.
yeah.
We do.
Well, I mean, it's 0 degrees and less so at the moment. I'd hate to be one of the poor soldiers on either side on the ground there.
When
Um,
spring comes around and it all becomes boggy and marshy,
yeah,
that'll be the next obstacle, and it'll be
yeah.
interesting what
What
happens
happens
there.
this summer? Yeah, I mean,
Russia yesterday sent home 1,000 dead Ukrainian troops back to
mm,
Ukraine to be buried.
mm, yeah. I mean, this is the tragedy. Tragedy. The politicians are talking up all this. We're doing the body counts.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, we're seeing the footage of the body counts. That's the reality. Um,
and worse still is the families are doing the body counts individually
yeah.
as they bury them.
Oh, this is it. I mean, okay, wars, whether necessary or not, or justified or not, the, that is a sad fact about it. But
Oh,
yes,
of course it
yeah,
is. Of course.
getting away from that. Let's be cold and clinical about this. What's going on a wider zoom out, as it were. Um, yeah. Now, okay. Well, this guy at NATO, he is well aware. He sees the balance sheets, what the contributions are. I've always said this. Really, unless the US are involved either with support with intelligence. I mean, they're possibly not the best overall, the best intelligence gathering in the world, but they're certainly got the capabilities. In fact, yeah, they've got no end of intelligence capabilities, if nothing else. They've got the weaponry. We don't know exactly. I mean, we're finding out with every action that the the Americans do in the world now, whether it's snatching a national leader from his bed or doing other things, they've got some incredible tech. I mean, it's possible the Russians and the Chinese have as well. I mean, they're not technically backward, but probably the Americans still lead the field in that.
To be fair,
mm,
a few days before Rutte
yeah,
said what he said to the European leaders,
yeah,
he'd have a one-on-one meeting with Trump.
mm,
I think it was at the G7
yeah,
when they were at the G7. And so Trump, he would have explained to him why he wants Greenland, you
mm,
know,
yeah.
why, and Rutte is just being a little bit like a mediator, if you like,
Outside
to
middleman. Yeah,
try
yeah,
to try and
yeah,
talk the Denmark
yeah.
round because Denmark, poor Denmark, is saying that it's gonna sell all of the US debt it has, which is $100 million,
Yeah.
right? If they put that on the market to sell,
mm,
it's gonna get gobbled up
yeah.
because daily it's trillions of dollars that you're talking about
mm,
in the world economy.
yeah.
Just going to get gobbled up, and it's not even going to make a dent on the
No,
sides.
no, I must admit, let's be honest. Probably two of the countries we thought less about in Europe before all this started off. Let's just pretend Greenland is part of Europe at this point. Yeah, is Denmark and Greenland. We never really gave them a second thought. I didn't wake up in the morning thinking about Denmark ever. Um, I can't even remember.
Greenland less.
Yeah, well, um, admittedly, I mean, I read a bit about Vikings and things and talk about it, but yeah, I mean, okay, they got to Greenland and things like this, but um, it's it is a um, yeah, it is a defensive position. So on the one hand, Europe says we need to defend ourselves against the evil Russia. And when you look at the map, the actual globe, forget the flat map, I forgot what it's
Yeah,
called.
of course.
The actual map itself is quite frightening. Okay, the way that Russia is just literally on top of Greenland.
Yeah.
Um,
The,
and
the, the flat map, Mark, is called a Mappa Mundi.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right. Talk
yeah,
about a globe. And Greenland is so close to Russia,
yeah, that's
and
it.
so close to the US.
Yeah.
Because it's right at the top, at the narrow part at the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, yeah. Actually, if you look where Alaska is to Russia, I know there's the back door there, but then they still have to go through Canada. It wouldn't be that easy for Russians to get from that side anyway. But yeah, I mean, Trump has a point. I mean, don't forget, Trump will have military advisors around him whom he trusts this time, who are not woke or not worried about gender identity, more concerned about actual
Get the job
strategic.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what was it? As I think I've said before, and I'll just expand it. Armchair generals talk about numbers. Real generals talk about strategy and logistics. And you can have big numbers in military if you haven't got your tactics right, your strategies right. It's all for nothing. It's like a big game of Risk. It really is
Yeah.
the ultimate game of Risk at the moment. Um, and Trump will look at the balance sheets. He's a businessman. He looks at it. How much money am I paying for Europe not to defend themselves and me to defend for them, and then being criticised by them constantly? Oh, and then subsidising their economies as well on top of it all. So in effect, he's actually paying for the whole of Europe to exist. That's the reality. Um, he doesn't really see Europe as a friend. He sees more as um, what's it? It's a stone around his neck. Yeah. Um, more as a beggar. Um,
Well, I wouldn't say that. That's stretching the point a little bit. I think he thinks it's something that needs to be done. It's an
yeah.
obligation.
Yeah.
He feels it's an obligation.
Yeah.
If he can step on the toes of European leaders, it's an obligation to take care of them.
Yeah.
He's not. It's the Western world.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a democracy.
Mm,
It's almost like it's like my son now.
yeah. Yeah.
He's more than 18 years old, but I still
Yeah.
look after him.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've got, I've got a teenager myself. Yeah, you still
Right.
give them advice,
So
and I sometimes say, yeah, you suck your teeth a bit when they're
yeah,
doing something, and yeah, well, I can't tell you, but
yeah. I'm fearing if it all goes tits up.
Yeah, yeah. You see my back
Yeah,
and the wounds here. Metaphor, yeah. I haven't got to be. They tell you, well, you're clever. Well, yes, that's come through lots and lots of lots of wounding or yeah, bad experiences. As I said to my youngster one day, don't make the same mistakes I have made. Be original. Yeah. Um, but I um I think when we talk about honesty of politicians, and I think Trump, I don't see Trump as a politician. I'll be quite honest. I still find it very difficult to see him as a politician. I see him probably as the guy in the pub who's a little bit loud. Yeah, a little bit loud, possibly a bit cantankerous. But you listen thinking, you know what? This dude he's on the money.
got a point.
Yeah. He doesn't care what anyone thinks of him. Yeah, he's going to say what he's going to say. Um, I mean, yes, I did think the other day when he spoke about the contribution of British and allies in Afghanistan. I know exactly what he was doing. Then he did half an apology a bit later. Um, yeah, that I think he'd been goaded by certain individuals across Europe, and Trump will react. That is probably one of his failings. He does react sometimes in
How
yeah,
about Starmer goading him?
yeah,
Just before he said that,
mm, yeah.
just before what he said, Starmer was goading him.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's one of his positive things, but Starmer is a complete and utter SH1T. No
Yes, I
doubt
know.
about, no doubt about it in my mind. Um, Sometimes it can be a quality. I mean, Churchill was a bit of one as well when he needed to be. Um, but I think but Churchill would do it, for the good of the country. Starmer
Yeah.
is on a different agenda.
Well, just to wrap
Yeah,
this up,
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what the European leaders and, of course, van der Leyen decide to do in the future now that Rutte's spoken to them and
Do,
put them in their place. Because,
do I actually have to take Van der Leyen seriously? I mean,
well, they're changing laws in the European Union so that there's no more vetoing. You can't veto anymore.
no, right. Which
So, it's the majority, simple majority of the people who weren't elected. But hey, who am I? Who am I?
yeah, well, we're out. Yeah, thank goodness the UK has left the European Union.